Hello, Madcappers. We've had some fun with our last few videos making these cozy winter hats and making cozy winter headbands. Our basic toque with a deep cuff, our pillbox toque with a wide insert of cozy premium faux fur, and a so easy to sew and make headband with the closing seams on the outside. But how about we notch it up a level and do a fabulous finishing touch? If you've ever wanted to learn how to make an easy fleece flower pin, stay with me today as I show you how. How about we use up some of the scraps from these projects and make a stunning statement pin that we can use to decorate these hats, or we can use to wear on any hat or on our coats or scarves. So we need a hot glue gun, stiffened craft felt, and some safety pins. My pins are just over an inch long or about 28 millimeters long. We'll also use some bits of faux fur and a button for the center to finish it off. But to start, we need 16 circles of fleece. I've cut 8 in black and 8 in my printed plaid, and I'm going to clip them together with the wrong sides together, so the right side is on the front and the back, and I am going to fold over the sides to form a cone with a point at the bottom, and at the bottom I'm going to just clip it so that shape holds until I can get it over to my sewing machine. Now my circles are about 1 3/4 inches in diameter or 4 centimeters in diameter. And I'm folding these so they'll be the same sequence. So the first fold I did away from me, and then the fold on top coming towards me again. So they're all folded in the same direction, they're all clipped at the bottom, and they're ready for me to sew. We'll put all this together to make a fabulous pin. So now the sewing part. I have 8 sets of petals, that's what I will call them, and I'm going to push each petal up against the petal before it as I work through on my sewing machine underneath the presser foot. And I'm using a very narrow seam width. It's about a 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. And you can use a small tool like a narrow screwdriver or an owl to help you push those close together if you'd like. I stop with the needle down in towards the edge of one petal before I push the next petal right up against. I am sewing them so they're all sort of facing the same direction, slightly on their side, but you can face them upwards, or you can have them going in opposite directions when they're next to each other. So it's up to you. You can play with the sequence, but I like to do it this way, and then I can manipulate them once I set them on the felt backing with the glue before the glue dries. So now I'm just seeing to make sure that I like the way this is going to sit, and I'm just opening up the petals slightly. But once I glue it on that piece of felt, I'm going to manipulate my petals so they're pretty much the same all the way around. And on this black one, I've used 7 petals. It's slightly smaller. The one we're working on now has 8 sets of petals. And I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit before I get my glue gun and lift it up and put it onto my glued piece of felt. Now I've cut my felt into a circle. It's the same shape as the circle of the petal, but you could use a square. So I'm putting on quite a generous amount of hot glue. And now I'm going to carefully pick up my flower and try to center it onto that felt backing and push the petals inward while I work each set of petals to get it to do what I want it to do, which is to be slightly open and about the same as the petals on either side. So you have a slight area in the center, which you can cover with a button, but I like to add a little bit of faux fur. And when I say a little bit, you really don't need much. So as you can see, I want to just cover up that area where my sewing is and the edges of the petals meet. And that shows you the faux fur, and my button over top of the faux fur gives it a nice finish. So I'm going to do the same for this one. And when I say you need a little bit of fur, you really need a little bit. I used half of that, maybe not even half. And what I'll do is I'll put some glue in, and then I will just position the fur in the center so the knit backing is the part that's touching the glue, and the strands of fur are going around in a circle all the way around, making a nice little cradle for my button. And you want to be careful not to burn yourself when you're working with hot glue. You can use the colder glue setting on your glue gun as well. Now the button that I've chosen is a bit sparkly, so maybe it's just not appropriate for the casual nature of the fabric on this hat. So I'm picking a spot from a scrap of fabric that has some red and some charcoal in the plaid, and I'm going to cover my button. So to find the right amount of fabric to use, I'm just going to twist the fabric over top of the button and cut away from the back. And it's still going to be a little bit more than I need, but it's a good place to start. I'm just going to manipulate it to see if I like how it's going to look before I actually add the glue. So I'm going to dab a bit of hot glue on the back of my fleece, and I'll push the front or the top of my button into the glue to set while I work around the edge of the button and tuck all the edges of the fleece around to the back of the button. And I will be trimming a bit more of that extra fleece away. And again, be careful not to burn yourself. The bottom of this button is going to look a bit rough, but that's going to be buried in the fur soon, and no one except you and me will ever know, right? So you want to carefully manipulate those edges of fleece into some glue on the back of the button and pull the fabric taut so that the front of the button will look like it's perfectly covered. So now you've put some glue on the back of your button when you're ready, and you're going to push it into the center of the fur on the flower. Just like that. So now we're ready to finish the back of the pin. Open your safety pin with the sharp end arm of the pin facing up. And you're going to grab it between two fingers and slip a small rectangle of felt between the tip of your fingers that are holding that pin arm and the back clasp section of the pin. So you turn the pin over so it's facing towards you, and you center the pin on the felt and run a line of hot glue across the length of the felt rectangle, going over the top of the pin as well. Press slightly into the back of the flower and let it sit and dry, and voila, look at that. We have a flower pin. Now it's time to try it on our hat. And this one's going to match our pill box that we made in our previous video. Ready to take our hats and our headbands up from super to superb. So if you have questions or comments, please leave them below and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I love adding a bit of fur to the center of the button as well. It gives it a real designer and wintry feel. And what's nice about making these pins is that you can always take the flower off the hat if you want to wear your hat more casual, or if you want to put the pin on something else. And if you're going to make these hats for your sewing business, well, I'll tell you that the pin will add a lot more value to the piece. I love the look of the pin on the headband as well, but since the band is less than 4 inches, I used a 7-petal flower. So for the center of this red pin, I used a store-bought button, as I did here too. So if you use one right off the shelf, or you cover an old button or something from your collection of buttons with a piece of fabric from your project, the results, I think, are going to be stunning, and you'll be very happy with your flower pin. Thank you so much for watching today. Happy sewing, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.